It has been over 4 months now with the iFi Go-Link, and I absolutely love this DAC. And part of it has to do with the reason that this DAC makes most IEMs from KZ sound exceptionally good. Let's talk about that. Okay, so I had made a video about the iFi Go-Link quite some time back, and there I talked about how much of a difference it made to my audio experience. But personally, I don't think I did that much of a good job talking about the nits and grits of the soundstage. So now that I have a pretty good experience and understanding after reviewing a bunch of IEMs and DACs, I do have a few more things to add to that review. And I also want to talk about this recent terminology that I stumbled upon, and it has actually a lot to do with today's video, and that particular term is called DAC Coloring or DAC Flavoring. So let's talk about that as well. So as you all know probably, the job of a DAC is to translate digital information to analog signals that your headphones or IEMs can understand. And in an ideal scenario, these translations shouldn't have any kind of distortions or imperfections that can alter the tonality of the music that you're listening to. But then you have a number of OEMs out there like iFi, FIO, or even Shanling as a matter of fact, who tends to add a little bit of a color or flavoring to these translations, at least in the budget segment, so that the end result becomes appealing to more and more consumers like us. So on one hand, you have a group of DACs that like to emphasize the low end, making the soundstage really smooth and warm in the process, and the other group of DACs tends to elevate the mids and the highs, making the soundstage brighter in general. And the iFi Go-Link belongs to the second group of DACs. Now the Go-Link comes with an ESS Saver 9219 DAC chip as opposed to the traditional Burr Brown DAC chips that iFi is famous for. And while the Burr Browns have a tendency of adding a subtle warmth to the soundstage, making it seem really natural and smooth and kind of giving off this laid-back attitude, the ESS Saver DAC chip that's been found on the Go-Link is tuned to the complete opposite. It has been tuned in such a way that it enhances the mids and the upper mid frequencies. Alright, so that's enough info about DAC coloring, so let's get back to our good old friend the Go-Link. So now that we are aware that this DAC has this imperfection that leads to brighten things up in its soundstage, we can actually go ahead and take an advantage of this distortion. So if I have a DAC that enhances the mids and the upper mid frequencies, I definitely want to pair it with a headphone or an IEM in which those frequencies are recessed. And guess which brand excels in those IEMs? Our good old friend KZ. Now most people will tell you that KZ's IEMs sound absolute trash since they have little to no presence of the vocals in the mid-range, and it's the bass that kind of takes over the rest of the frequencies. But if you pair these IEMs with the Go-Link, oh, you'll be in for a surprise, alright. Thanks to the way the Go-Link enhances the mid-range, the vocals will now start to have that presence once again. The entire soundstage will now feel a lot wider and have that atmosphere where you can feel those reverbs and subtle nuances that you couldn't just feel earlier. And hence Arijit Singh's vocals in Kalang will not sound that muddy anymore. And the other thing that I noticed here is that even though the mid-bass region remains unaltered by the Go-Link, it does a surprisingly good job of enhancing the sub-low frequencies. So instruments like kick drums will have that punch, and you can hear that deep rumble of the bass when you start listening to tracks like Lollipop by Lil Wayne and Static Major. Now having a DAC with a mid-forward tuning does have its fair share of cons as well. So if you pair this DAC with an IEM that already has a bright and sparkling treble like the Moondrop Chew 2, higher frequencies might get sibilant. So if you're someone who is sensitive to treble and you already own an IEM like the Moondrop Chew 2, I wouldn't recommend this DAC at all. So having said that, I still believe that the Go-Link is an excellent dongle DAC that lets you appreciate the music even more. But I also think that it's a good practice to go ahead and do some research online before you go ahead and purchase a DAC or any audio product in general. Audiophile communities in India are becoming more and more popular these days thanks to companies like Headphone Zone. So don't be shy to go ahead and ask your questions in the forums, or you can even find answers from the tech community over at X who do have a much better understanding over these products than yours truly. Alright, so that is pretty much it for this video, and I really hope you guys got some value out of it. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such videos like this, and I'll see you guys in my next one.